Good evening, welcome to the Tuesday, December 10, 2019 meeting of the Woodbridge Board of Police Commissioners. First item on the agenda is the executive session. I saw the two folks waiting outside.
Yes.
I presume those are the two potential dispatchers?
Yes.
Want to bring them in?
You want to move into executive session?
Yeah. Do you want to do that first?
Yeah.
Or do you want to do
You
the
want
other?
to bring one in, obviously we probably bring one in.
Yeah.
Hi.
Do you want them one at a time? I'll go film walk it out here. Which one do you want? Doesn't matter.
Which one?
So we're going to executive session
Yeah,
first.
did he move into it yet?
No, not yet, but
Okay.
Leslie, yeah, you can bring Leslie in.
And this is executive session.
it will be, yeah.
Right.
So is there a motion to move to
Just
executive
hang on.
session?
So
Motion
moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Okay. So,
You want it all?
we're out of executive session. We did not vote on any of the matters in executive session. Is there any motion regarding the
Yes.
hiring?
I move that we offer Stephen Perlakis the position as a certified police officer and Leslie Rivera position as dispatcher. Once conditional on his further testing,
So it's conditional offer to Stephen
correct?
Praliakis. Close enough.
Perlakis?
Um, Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? None? All those in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, we're gonna, can we move the other item that we didn't discuss over to the next meeting? I realize
That's right,
that.
that's fine.
Okay. Well, it's listed on the public agenda, I have to, if we can move that to the next meeting. So approval of minutes, November 6, 2019, is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion.
Is there a second? Second? Anyone?
I can't, I wasn't there.
You will? So,
You have to second it.
no, they weren't.
Oh.
We just,
Second.
any discussion, any corrections, all those in favor? Unanimous? Okay. Public comment, is there anyone from the public that wish to be heard? Is there any correspondence, Janice?
No.
Okay. Review of financial report.
Financial report,
Says Carol.
financial report, we're 5 months through the fiscal year, we're at 42.6%, so we remain on target and within budget. Any areas that you want addressed, we could discuss the police overtime
Which
line
Oh, here, total.
always comes up, and as of this year, just bear in mind, we have caseload and some shortages, vacancies and shortages that we've been dealing with ways into that. And we're also involved in the click and ticket over the holiday period, highway safety grant, which is 100% reimbursable, and that contribute 40 hours worth, but that will be reimbursed to the town from the state.
So do you still find that a lot of people don't wear seatbelts?
The what?
Do you still find that a lot of people don't wear seatbelts?
They are still finding that, and also the distracted driving, two big problems there.
You usually find out because somebody calls in, a motorist will call and say
Sometimes
somebody's
motorists
driving
call,
like
but
a crazy person.
they try to do a turn control or park so that they can observe for people. Most of the people calling in.
So distracted driving, is that mostly cell phones or?
Pretty much mostly cell phones, is, people doing all kinds of crazy, but for the most is, most common, most frequent is cell phones, yes.
Frank, at a prior meeting, we had asked you to give us a rundown of the details of the overtime. Thank you, Janice, for putting that together. It was a little bit complicated. It's probably beyond the scope of what we'd like to address tonight, but at some point, we'd like to at least go through that meeting.
Sure.
We can talk about that
Yep.
further. Is there anything else on the financial report?
No.
Is there a motion to approve?
Yes.
So-
Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Activity report.
And the activity report on the criminal side, we had a burglary at the beginning of November on Birch Road. Happened in the afternoon. The house was occupied. There was a female home alone. She heard a doorbell ring, and later she heard someone crying from the back door, and heard someone inside the house. They tried the door of the room that she was in, and she hollered, she screamed, and they subsequently left. The scene was processed, and we're waiting on some, any results of the forensic examination from the lab on that. But that happened like it was kind of an unusual time, like 4 o'clock, and just after 4 in the afternoon.
What day of the week?
On a weekday.
Weekday?
It was the 12th of November, it was a weekday, but I can't remember exactly what
Yeah,
day
but
it
a
was.
weekday,
It was a
wow.
weekday.
Yeah.
So, it's 4 larcenies during the month, not too much of significance. A cell phone out of a locker at one of the lockers at one of the athletic facilities. Firewood stolen and a statue stolen from a building in town here. And theft of an iPod, earpods at the high school that was dealt with. We had some larcenies from motor vehicles. You've probably been reading that's something that's been going on statewide for the last, unfortunately, the last few years now, and been more frequent in some of the other area towns. But we did have some of those during the month. There was one night where there was 3 or 4 of them down on the Lower Litchfield Turnpike, and then another night 3 or 4 of them in the Manila and Barrett Miles area. And other than that, just those 2 nights on that. We have 2 stolen vehicles. The first one was from a business that was open on South Broadway Road, and that came in later in the afternoon. That was the beginning of the month. And another one on Merritt Avenue during the overnight hours. And one of those cars was recovered in Haven. The other one is still outstanding, stolen. And we had a recovered vehicle that was dumped off in the woods on Pease Road near Twin Brook, where the power lines there. That was on the 21st of the month. As far as the report from ISU, the major case that we had obviously is the homicide that occurred on the evening, or was discovered on the evening of November 9th on Woodfield Road. On that incident, State Police Major Crime assisted. Numerous search warrants have been done so far. Some of the results are starting to come in. Evidence has been brought to the lab, and they're working hard in close collaboration with New Haven Police Department, Criminal Intelligence Unit, New Haven PD, the FBI, New Haven State's Attorney. Everybody's pretty much involved in that. Told you about the burglary that we had on Birch Road. They did the 3 background checks of the dispatch candidates, and they've been working with the postal inspectors regarding some thefts of mail that have occurred here over the last couple of months in some of the surrounding towns. And as a result of that, they have 6 arrest warrants pending from our town, and 2 cases are handed over to the postal authorities that they're going to handle on the federal level.
Was that person killed here or moved?
Moved, yeah.
What was that?
The murder.
That's the murder happened here.
Oh, it happened.
It happened here. And we also, over the past few months, we talked about some sexual assault investigations that were going on. And as a result of that, we have 5 separate sexual assault warrants pending at court relating to 5 warrants for 3 different sexual assaults that occurred that are still going on. They did 22 requests for fingerprinting, 2 pistol permit applications, and background checks. And the sentencing for the Rimmen Road homicide, the kidnapping and robbery that was associated with that was pushed out a little bit longer by the U.S. Attorney's Office. That'll be happening after the holidays, at which time that investigation will be continuing. So that's the update on that.
Dorothy Martino called, Merritt Avenue, if there's anything special going on down there, a lot of activity?
No, there was,
They seem to be very concerned.
Yeah, there was one night when we had those larcenies, and actually I think one of the cars stolen might have been a relative of.
Relative of hers?
Yes.
Okay.
And that was the one car that was recovered. Yeah.
Okay.
But that was all in one night. There was 3 or 4 cars that went through in a stolen car.
So it was all one night activity, and
Yeah,
there hasn't
there was
been
one night
reoccurrence?
there and one night like a week later. Or
22nd.
Yeah, was it 22nd?
22nd and 12th.
Yeah, that was it. Other than that, That's it. And then, as far as the other activities, like the, traffic and motor vehicle activity.
There's not much change from the last time. Commissioner Desir, you had mentioned something about, how they tell about, distracted driving and everything like that. This particular month, we actually had 10 people calling for motor vehicle complaints. They actually call into the department, talk to the dispatcher, get the information. And they range from, following too close, driving without their lights on, or reports of, distracted driving. We actually had 12 in October. So that's pretty high for the 2 months. The overall activity went up just a little bit. As we go into the holiday season, from Thanksgiving through the first of the year, we do have extra patrols on the job at night. I think Detective Leslie, you were actually working an extra patrol tonight, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so, they go on there, they deal with just motor vehicle activity. So through these next couple of months, you're gonna see an increase in the activity. Certainly, I look at last month's and you see that, we have a sergeant that had some activity. Actually, Sergeant Capiello had, 12 motor vehicle stops. I mean, that's, but that's because he's working that extra patrol job. That grant that the chief was talking about earlier about in overtime, where it's 100%. So we're putting, 2 guys on, or 2 officers on these particular nights. It's at 100% overtime, and they're bringing up our activity account. The accidents increased during the month of November a little bit from October. Not so much a little bit, but by about 10 accidents. Most of them are accidents with non-injuries. Just to give you an idea, in November we had 33 non-injury accidents compared to 19 in October. So, the accident volume went up a little bit. But other than that, it's pretty consistent. Any questions?
Well, it sounds like it's incredibly useful when, if we're driving and we see somebody driving crazy, we should be calling you.
I think that's what you have happen.
That's, yeah,
Right,
yeah, I've done it a few times over the years, but you never know, like, is that, you don't wanna get crank calls either, you just.
No, but if you see something,
Say something.
It's nice to say something,
Yeah.
especially with motor vehicle, because there's people out. They just had one tonight.
Especially with the holiday season.
That,
Right.
that someone followed right straight through town, right into Orange, but they were driving erratically. So it does help
Yeah,
for the public to look at it. But
So-
that's my opinion.
thank you.
Is there a motion to approve the activity report?
So moved.
There's a second? All those in
Second.
favor? Unanimous. Frank, your report?
Is 4 or 5 quick things. Like I reported last month, on November 19th, Officer Brian Pedalino conducted 2 Stop the Bleed tourniquet training sessions for town employees. He did that over at Town Hall. In conjunction with his affiliation with that program, both for this event and for one that he had done prior to that at the JCC this past March, he teamed up with some staff from Yale New Haven Hospital. They helped with that. And due to his affiliation with them, they were generous enough to give us a donation of 30 tactical medical emergency tourniquets for the department, so we could outfit each officer with one. Currently, each car has one, but now each officer will have one, and our plan is we'll purchase the cases for those.
Can I ask what a tactical tourniquet is?
It's like a nylon web tourniquet that you could
You
use
just
in
slip
case
it
of
on?
you'll have a readily accessible in case of a traumatic injury.
That's
Saved
what
my
it-
daughter-in-law's life on
Correct.
on August 24th, when she lost her leg at the stop at the shop in Summer. My son put a belt on, but when the police officer got there, he had that tourniquet. He could not stop the bleeding. She was bleeding out. And he put that tourniquet on. Once the nylon tourniquet went on, they were able to close it.
Oof,
So-
wow.
Bled out that, she would have bled out there in the winter.
Oh, gosh.
It's
Yeah, we like those tourniquets.
proven very useful. So kudos to Officer Pedalino for his initiative with that. We also need to review and vote on the meeting schedule for the
Yeah.
coming year.
When's the deadline when that has to be submitted?
December 31st.
Okay, obviously I was hoping that Steve would have a chance to look at this. I guess we can submit the dates and then just alter them, and we can always,
They would become special meetings.
Right, we can
That's
always
what-
change the
What
date.
happens, absolutely.
so, why don't we just,
So we need a motion.
So
Come
moved.
on. Second?
all those in favor? We'll look at that again.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's see.
What's the meeting?
Locker room painting?
Board of Selectmen.
Yep, the deputy chief and I will be attending a board of selectmen meeting tomorrow night. The first selectman has invited he and I, as well as the fire chief and his assistant, and our board chairs to attend and meet in executive session just to discuss operations, ongoing operations. So that's tomorrow evening. And Sharon, when I get the time, I'll let you know what time it is. But we're going to do executive session.
This says 6, but is that,
Okay.
Oh, that's the budget hearing. That's
Okay.
Thursday
Yeah, that's the
night.
budget.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just
come
looked at it
out
correctly.
early.
Yeah, just
So
text me
I'll
the.
shoot you a text tomorrow.
All right, great.
And the final item is just a quick update. Beginning tomorrow morning, you probably saw a lot of the furniture and shelving out in the hall. But we're moving forward with some cosmetic work of the building. Primarily, the ISU office is going to be painted in new lighting and get rid of the old orange carpet that's been in there since the 1980s, and some new ceiling tiles. So just tidying it up and freshening it up for a little bit. So we kind of coordinated during that time that they'll be out of there. They're going to move into this building, into this room, starting tomorrow morning. So that's all I have for my reports.
Is there a motion to approve the report of the chief?
So moved.
Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
And then just
Personnel matters, did we
Personnel.
deal with that already?
we did, except just officially, I just want to notify you, as I kind of mentioned before, that we have this opening that came up. That yesterday I received official notification from Officer Master Petra that he's going to be resigning to take a position that was offered to him as an investigator in the state's attorney's office. At this point of his life, he feels that's a proper fit from his past experience, and it works well with his future endeavors and his family situation. So we're sorry to see him go, but we wish him the best. His last day of work on the books here will be December 19th, which is next Thursday. And that
I see.
opened up that immediate vacancy.
Okay. And it's the capital budgets, December 12th. Is there anything you want to share with us about that?
Yeah, the capital budget is scheduled to be presented this Thursday at 6 p.m. at a joint meeting of the Board of Selectmen and Board of Finance. Any of the board that are able to attend and support it, are welcome to do so. And we recently, pertaining to the operating budget, we recently received our operating budget guidelines and instruction packets from the Board of Finance. So the Deputy Chief and I are currently working on that, and we'll be budgeting again for our authorized staffing level of 25 officers, one which is funded by the Board of Ed, and 9 civilian personnel, just as it was last year. No changes with that. I did speak with Superintendent Bob Gilbert just a day or two ago, and he said that the Board of Ed's draft budget is to keep everything pretty much the same as it is with the SRO in place with the funding for that. And one additional item that we'll probably we'll talk about when we present the budget to the subcommittee, but we're working with the finance director to make arrangements for IT, some changes in IT services from what they were using at the high school, and to make some other arrangements to facilitate the town, facilitate the police department a little bit more efficiently with that. And we'll keep you advised, but the budget's due at least a draft copy January 3rd. So we'll be reaching out to the subcommittee before that.
Thank you.
That's
I think that wraps it up.
it for the budget.
Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Good evening, welcome to the River Traffic Authority. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to be heard? Is there any correspondence? No. 2 matters, Grouse Lane, Fraser, speed limit.
Yeah, so two matters for that. The first one is Grouse Lane, Fraser Drive. We had a request back in October from a resident that resides in the neighborhood up there regarding the lack of traffic control signage in the area. Currently, neither Fraser Drive or Grouse Lane have any posted speed limit signs. They've never had any, as far as I know. And also, she addressed there's a stop sign at the intersection of Fraser Drive when you hit Grouse Lane. It's like a T intersection. And she was inquiring about the feasibility of having another stop sign, so as you come down the hill of Grouse Lane, possibly putting a stop sign there. And she was also concerned that there's no school bus stop signs anywhere in the area there. And there's more children, I guess, over the years are there now. So her concerns were shared by the deputy chief of the traffic committee that just happened to be meeting shortly after that was received. And then as a result of her request, we initiated a traffic study of the area, and that was completed. And over a 5-year look-back period, it showed there were no motor vehicle accidents reported at the intersection where she was asking about the stop sign, and also that the traffic volume at that intersection didn't really warrant the federal highway standards to warrant the installation of an additional stop sign. And a cursory check of the sight lines really didn't show any kind of deficiencies with that. Regarding the school bus stop signs, the deputy chief's been in touch with Warren Connors from Public Works about the possibility of doing that, and that's been under discussion. And regarding the speed limit signs for both Fraser Drive and Grouse Lane, with the traffic authority's permission, I'd like to send a request to the Office of the State Traffic Administration and just get their approval. They technically set the speed limits, kind of like we did on Ball Road. And once they set the speed limit there, which we'll request for 25 miles an hour, then that'll allow us the opportunity for Warren to post the signage there. So I'll send a letter to the state and let them make their decision on that.
So Fraser has 3 homes.
There's no traffic on there unless the dean is having a party.
Okay. I think it's 3 homes in the street.
No, on Fraser Drive, that'd be more than that. The whole length of Fraser Drive?
Let's see.
I'm thinking of,
Yeah, you're thinking of,
Fraser.
what's off of,
the one to the left there.
that's not Fraser.
Yeah, not that.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
It's still short, it's a really short run.
It's not even a block.
Yeah, well, Grouse Lane is a little bit longer.
Yes,
but
it is. I
wouldn't
mean,
hurt to
there
put
is-
speed on the sign to
there's-
get it official.
Yeah, it's pretty short.
There's one resident that flies down that street that people have been complaining to me about it. And that's really the
Yeah,
problem.
and maybe we'll put the speed trailer up there on Grouse Lane too.
That would- I was gonna suggest that.
But yeah, but it won't hurt to get it officially on the books with the speed limit, and speed limit designated by the state. I don't know why it was overlooked in the first place, but. So, with your approval, I don't know if you want to make a motion to request that to set that, or?
So that does not approve the sign, that's just to let them to look at
No,
it?
that just approves that they'll set that they'll designate the speed limit for those 2 roads.
So
And
there's
then
not,
it's up to us if we want to put signs.
there's not,
But with their blessing, we could put the signs.
there's not a default speed limit. I mean, there's a lot of small
is the
streets in
default.
Woodbridge.
Yeah, it is, 25 is
So
the
I just
default.
assumed that they all had a default speed limit of 25. And if you have one person who's speeding down there, that's not going to deter them.
It's up, whatever you, I'm just trying to answer the residents'
No, I understand that.
concern with that, so to put the signs, I think Warren's request was that we get designated, is that right?
Oh, yeah, you have to have it designated by the state, they have to designate that you can post the 25 mile.
Right.
So you have to get permission.
There's a lot of streets in this town that don't have the speed
Oh,
limit on it.
speed
And then the
limit.
default speed is 25. We
Right.
can enforce 25 miles an hour
How
on that
much
road.
does it cost to put up a speed limit sign? Nothing. I mean, it's not very much.
Oh, there is a cost associated.
Yeah,
with it.
there
You have
is.
to
Right,
warn
but
it.
it's
Yeah,
not, yeah. But the thing is, we can't, right, we don't want to
Right.
just acquiesce.
But I think he's more worried about the technicality
Public Works
of,
Director.
getting the documentation.
I mean, you could put the sign on every street in Woodbridge, right?
We could.
We could, if funding's available, I guess.
I mean, I'm just trying to be consistent, I know there are other times where we've rejected
Mhm.
signage for a variety of reasons, no accidents. There was a request by the first selectman
Right.
down by the flats,
June and,
because there was a,
June
I forget the
and
streets,
South.
but there was a suggestion that there was high traffic volume, high accidents, and there was your investigation
Stops.
fleshed out that there wasn't, so,
Right.
which is consistent with this area, I mean,
Yeah.
Would you
Well, we can leave it at that, we can just try to do some, you know,
We
put
try
a
the
speed trailer and
speed
something
trailer.
like that. And leave
it
at
just
that.
seems like it's a, kind of a waste of everyone's effort at this point, at
That's
least.
fine.
Try to speak to them first.
And
Do you
then-
have contact with the person that made the complaint, was it anonymous, or was it
No, it was,
identified?
yeah, no, she identified, yeah, she
So
could
maybe
email
reach
to
out to her at some
Tom
point
Hall,
after and
Kate
see
Ross.
if that does anything.
Okay, we'll follow up with her and let her know that's the plan. And then the other topic is Sperry Park, Sperry Road, actually. So at last month's Board of Selectmen meeting, the first selectman reported that she received a request from the Public Works Director on behalf of the Regional Water Authority to close the unpaved dirt portion of Sperry Road year-round. And so at the selectmen meeting, her decision was to refer that to the Legal Traffic Authority and to the Sperry Park Commission for their opinion regarding that, and she was looking for a report back to the January meeting. So as you probably all know, Sperry Road runs between Dillon and Morris Road. It's a little bit paved at the two ends, but in the middle is all unpaved and unimproved. And annually, for years now, from November, mid-November, the road's closed and it's blocked off by padlock gates for the winter. So for 8 months, it's open, and for 4 months from November. And for the next 4 months after that, until probably April, it remains closed. So before I brought it here tonight, I spoke with Warren about the closing of the road to see what his thoughts on that were. And he said that the discussion about closing it came up with the Regional Water Authority police who had reached out to him when they were doing an investigation on something, and they were asking when it would be closed. Warren's concern is that it's taking care and grading the unimproved section does take a lot of manpower hours for his crew, and that there's been a few occasions of discarding litter and some dumping up there. I reached out to John Adovich, he's the chairman of the Sperry Park Committee, and he said he didn't really know of any, he had no concerns, he didn't know of any problems, and he thought that it would be best probably just to leave it the way it is, because closing it year-round might create a problem for people that want to get in there. I reached out and spoke to the head of the Water Authority Police, because that's apparently how it was conveyed that it came to be, this topic came to be before the Board of Selectmen, and he said that he didn't, when I asked him, he said he didn't really have any idea what I was talking about, and he didn't know of any reason why they would have recommended it. And then so he reached out to his guys and found out about this conversation they had with Warren. But he referred me to the real estate manager for the Water Authority, because this was being presented to the selectmen on their behalf, and their formal opinion on it, which they gave in writing, and I shared it with Beth, that their stance is that they're satisfied with the current way that it's been for years, just closing it in the winter months, and that they feel that closing it permanently is going to interfere with permits that they issue for wood cutting and people getting into the reservoirs. So their official word is that they do not request that it be closed year-round. So with that information, I don't see any reason why we should. We haven't had any incidents of significance up there. We've had some loitering, usual kids swimming. The what?
I just missed one thing. What was the genesis of the original request that it be closed?
The original request that went to the first selectman was on behalf of the Water Authority Police that the road be closed, the dirt portion of Sperry Road be closed
Year-round.
year-round.
They don't want to
Then
close
they
it.
said they didn't,
They said that wasn't there.
Well, that ends it, doesn't it?
So,
All right,
they had no reason.
Okay.
thanks.
So on your behalf, I'll just share that with her.
Yes, that's it,
We're all
it's
in
over.
agreement. Okay, good.
Is there a motion to adjourn the Woodbridge Traffic Authority? Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
All right.
Unanimous?
Happy holidays,
Happy
everyone.
holidays.